Well, hello, my friend. Welcome to Breakfast with Sergio. In this episode, I want to talk to you about protecting yourself against harmful chemicals in your art materials. Alright, my friends, super happy to be here in another episode of Breakfast with Sergio. We are here in my studio, in one corner of my studio where I get really messy. And today in this episode, I want to talk about the dangers of touching and managing the materials that may be in your art, in your art studio, which is something that I didn't think about for many years. You see, I went to art school, and I've always been in touch with the materials, something that I love to do as an artist. My process is all layer based, so you can see some work that I'm working behind me. Here's another piece that I'm working on, and so it's layered, and I work layer upon layer upon layers, hundreds of layers in order to create one work. These layers may include all kinds of materials like charcoal and paint, house paint, acrylic, sometimes oil sticks, a little bit of oil sometimes, mostly acrylic base. But I like also to mix sometimes non-traditional paints or materials that I just find in the hardware store. And that's how I build my layering. Now, for many years as an art student, I didn't think too much about protecting myself from the chemicals that are in the paint or in the materials that I'm using. But as I get older, I have think about it a lot, and it's something that I think is very important to talk about, protecting yourself when you are working, when you are in contact with all these materials, because you got to think about that all this paint that we use has chemicals that your body, your skin absorbs as you come in touch with it, particularly on a regular basis, right? So as an artist, you got to think about what are the things that you need to do in order to protect yourself, your health for the long run. You may not feel much of a difference right now, perhaps as you are working, but you gotta think about 5 years, 10 years, 20 years from now, will there be an impact in your health because you're not protecting yourself? And paint could have lead, could have cadmium, could have mercury, could have all kinds of chemicals that are known to be harmful for your health. Now, there are also more kind of environmentally friendly materials out there that you can look at and that you can purchase and so forth and use in your studio. Now, particularly for those of you who use resin, as you know, resin is quite toxic. So if you're using resin, if you're using wax, if you're using any material that creates fumes, if you're using oil paints, you gotta have good ventilation also, because all that stuff, you're breathing it in and out every day, all the time. Again, you might think, oh, it's no big deal. It will be fine, Sergio, and maybe it will be fine, but it may not, and you don't want to be the one many years from now saying, I wish I had taken more care of my body while I was in the studio creating the work, because my body absorbed all these kind of chemicals, all these materials who you never know what kind of can cause in the long-term effect that they can cause on you. So my friends, that's why in this kind of short episode I wanted to remind you about that. Health is important for the life of the artist. We gotta be healthy in order to be productive, to be effective in the things that we do. And protecting yourself, is the least thing you can do. It's something super easy. For me, I just go to the hardware store, buy these cheap gloves that I use, or sometimes I use the other tighter knit gloves. Depends on what I'm doing, and it just protects my hands from the chemicals that are on the paint. As I'm working in the studio. Now I know sometimes it's kind of hard, it's difficult. But at the end of the day, it's like, well, I'm looking for my health. I'm also looking for the long term. I want to be around for a while, hopefully, and be able to making work for a while. And so that is important, right? I need to take care of myself now so that that happens. So I wanted to remind you of that. If you need ventilation in your studio, maybe right now you are not in the ideal place. Maybe you have a small corner at home and you're working with toxic materials like oil and things that have fumes and things like that, and caustic and so on. Find a way to ventilate your space. Find a way to ventilate your space, or to take breaks so that you can breathe fresh air. I mean, I don't know. You gotta find ways to do it right. Maybe find another medium for a while, just so that you can take care of your health as well and prevent against some future problems. So things that you can do, find ventilation, protect your hands, protect your breathing if you are doing things that have, that produce, smells, that produce, things that get in the air, particles that get in the air, sometimes even cutting, acrylic, all that stuff gets in your skin, gets in your breathing, gets in your lungs, all that stuff. But those of you who work with kind of non-traditional materials as well, gotta protect yourself. So hope you enjoyed this super short episode. I gotta get back to work, so I gotta keep putting more and more layers on these babies right behind me. So I hope you have an amazing day in your studio. Let me know in the comments right under this video. Let me know how are you protecting yourself in the studio, or maybe if you have some tips that you want to share with other artists. Please be kind, be part of the community, and share your thoughts, your ideas, and I would really appreciate that. Also, if you share this episode with a friend, and don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Sergio Gomez Projects. And if you want to check out all the resources that we have for your art career, go to www.theartistnextlevel.com. Goodbye, my friends.